Wow. Wow. That that was something else, wasn't it?
That was crazy.
Jeez.
Crazy.
Woo. Essence.
Lost for
Anyways,
words.
oh my goodness. That was just wow. Anyways, welcome back, Stomp Wrestling Gang. Today it is half of Stomp Wrestling himself, MPKH and WrestleDrop here, and we are going to be analyzing the MJF pipe bomb, as some would describe it. In my words, I call it a nuclear missile. My God.
That was crazy.
So, definitely a lot of things to unpackage right now because I don't think I've seen anybody go as berserk on the microphone since CM Punk's pipe bomb and Joey Styles back in '06. But MJF, man, damn.
But
So,
even Punk's pipe bomb wasn't near this.
yeah,
It was
but at
different.
least he,
It was a WWE pipe bomb. It was different.
uh-huh. But this was uncensored, unfiltered. So this one is
This one was
just
crazy.
yes.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
let's cut right to the chase. So MJF versus Tony Khan. That's the big story. That's what's trending all over social media right now.
Some would compare
That's
it
the talk
to
of,
Austin versus McMahon.
oh my God. Okay, let's get something out the way. With Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon, it was basically Austin being a reckless, anti-authority redneck versus Vince McMahon, who wanted him to be the corporate sucker. So I'd say MJF versus Tony Khan is basically just give me the money that I deserve or I'm out. But I don't know if it's a shoot or a work.
I think
I'm in
it's.
between.
I'm sure it started out as a shoot. Like I think him missing that fan fest was a shoot, or maybe a miscommunication like Samoa Joe, and then they worked it out, or they didn't work it out, but he had an obligation to do the match, and then they worked it out on Monday, and now it's a work. I mean, yeah, now it's a work. So I think it started out as a shoot, and they changed it to a work, and it's working. Excuse the
But
pun, but
if
it's
we look
working.
at But if we look at some of the interviews that MJF has done, where he has mentioned WWE quite a few times, really, and now it's this thing of is MJF actually going to leave WWE for? I mean, is MJF going to leave AEW for the WWE? And if so, what does that mean for AEW really? Because he's basically the face of that company. Let's be real. I'm not afraid to say it. I think
You
MJF
think so?
is the face of AEW, period.
Well, him and Punk, but
Yeah.
I think the long-lasting face is MJF from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
all the way through. So I think you're right, but I don't see
Yeah,
him
he's
going to WWE. I think he's gonna get his money, get the contract, get the extension. I think he'll take the extension that he doesn't want because he allegedly wants the money, but not an extension to his contract. I think if they haven't already, because now there's no way Tony would let him on a live mic without working something out. So if it hasn't already been worked out, I think it will be. And I think he'll stay at AEW.
all right. And also, let's not mention how he turned to the AEW fan base, calling them nothing but quote unquote uneducated marks who change their opinion constantly. Hmm.
Is he wrong?
My God.
Is he wrong?
I I
Maybe the
myself hate the
uneducated
idol.
part, but the part of where he said that they change their opinion constantly, he's not wrong.
I mean, in the wrestling community, I see a lot of people change their opinions, and there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing
But
wrong with changing your opinion if you open to other people changing their opinions. Because the same people
exactly,
that change their opinions will be like, but a week ago you said this, or 2 weeks ago you said that. So
uh-huh.
people are very
I remember,
hypocritical.
I remember before I even started whole wrestling content, I used to, change my opinion left, right, and center. But now I just stick to my opinion, and then I'll see whether I stick to it or
But
not.
there's nothing wrong with it because wrestling is like constantly evolving. There's new shows every week.
Mhm.
There's something new every week. So of course your opinion's gonna change. It's gonna.
Mm,
It's
definitely.
everything
I
changes
also
from week
remember
to week.
I also remember him saying, God, I always knew MJF could wrestle. Then he went on to say, well, didn't you guys say that I I basically sucked and I couldn't wrestle? Hmm. Yeah, that was part of his promo. And I'm thinking to myself, oh dear God. Oh dear God.
I've definitely
He got
seen
him.
that.
He
I've
got him.
for sure, for sure. I've definitely seen that on social media.
Oh, I've
Definitely.
seen it a lot with loads of people
And there's nothing
saying
wrong
that.
with MJF's wrestling. He's just not.
I think he's I think with his wrestling style, it's pretty dope. His wrestling
It
style is
suits his character. What does it help if he's this guy who hates the people, but he's doing all these huge spots, and it's not going to work. It's just going to turn
that's
him into a
something
face
he's
straight away if he's doing.
that's something
Yeah,
that if that's something that MJF does, like take high spots, that is something a babyface would do just to
exactly,
wow the crowd. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like Darby Allin, Jeff Hardy, so many daredevils that are known for high spots do that shit. You don't see guys like MJF or Wardlow, FTR doing a bunch of spots just to
No,
get you
no.
satisfied.
He's not going to
They
be.
are
He's not going to be
old
able to
school.
stay a heel doing Phoenix splashes, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. No ways you can be a heel and be doing tope suicidas or Phoenix splashes or super kicks. None of that crap.
Which I think is
MJF,
something a lot of wrestlers forget about.
uh-huh.
The way they wrestle,
It-
you can't tell who's a heel and who's a face just by watching the match half the time. But with MJF, you can tell he's the heel, even if you know
actions
nothing.
speak actions
Exactly,
speak louder than words to
exactly.
me.
So,
Now there is
what did you think of
now there
the double or nothing match? Well, squash, not a match.
um I did expect Wardlow to come out with the victory, but I
For
just didn't
sure.
expect it to be like squash. I expected MJF to get some offense, man. I just looked at it and I'm like, shit, no more,
I suppose it
no,
maybe
not.
played into that factor of are we gonna see MJF again because of the whole situation before. So if you squashed him like that, it put into the back of your mind is like, is that him done now? Is he gone from AEW? Did something happen that Tony just released him? Because
I think
that
if
would be the
it's
type of thing that would happen if there was beef. You know, that he'd go out and send MJF to basically be humiliated. It's not gonna let him
mm,
look strong if he is no showing or whatever.
and having your poster boy go out in a squash match just like that, that wouldn't sit well with any AEW fans. If you're letting possibly your biggest merch seller, your top draw in the company leave AEW via squash match, that's not going to sit well with anybody.
I
And
think
I'm thinking to
if it was
myself,
under normal
I
circumstances, yes. But under those circumstances, I don't think so.
hell no. I remember once. I remember this reminds me of how what this MJF Tony Khan situation reminds me of.
Mm.
This kind of reminds me of, and I know some people are going to hate me for saying this, but this kind of reminds me of AJ Styles versus Dixie Carter in 2013. Remember how AJ Styles was on his way out of TNA and on to better things? Then he lost his last match in the worst way possible. Then he went out and did his thing. That's what it reminds me of. It's a situation of the poster boy, the face of the company, is not being respected enough because he's the hardest working man there. I think that's what it reminds me of, in my opinion.
I guess so. But I
So
think MJF's character allows for him to be
it
squashed.
allows for it.
Him to be squashed and not appear again. Because Wardlow was hot. Wardlow was getting
Yeah, Wardlow, the momentum that he has, there's no way you can extinguish that. There's just
no.
no way.
There's no way. So
No.
that was confusing, but it makes sense now. Actually, it makes less sense that he appeared on Dynamite so soon. I thought it'd be a while before we see him again, and then he'd come for Punk or something.
When they advertised the fact that MJF was going to speak out, I thought it was like, I saw it on social media and I said to myself, already? Like, damn. Or I thought it was some fan page. I thought it was some fan page because of what? It didn't have any captions. It just said MJF was going, we're going to hear from MJF tonight. I was like, oh, shit. So quickly. Because I was expecting MJF to say what? I was expecting MJF to say 2 weeks old just to see what we can expect from him. And
keep that, it'll keep that like what's happening stigma around MJF, and we don't know is he coming back, is he not? But I suppose I'm not complaining that he came back after that.
Yeah, me neither, because there's no way, because there's no AEW fan that would watch that show without MJF. MJF is AEW final period.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, next part. The next part. Max then called out Tony Khan, saying that he's the second biggest minute-to-minute draw in AEW, but Khan is too busy paying ex-WWE guys who can't lace his boots. Wow. So,
I definitely do think it suits his promo, but they are bigger stars. They're going to get paid more.
Oof.
They are bigger stars in terms of their career, you know. But for his character and for everything, it makes sense. So I'm not going to look too deep into that. Like, he's never going to earn more than Bryan Danielson or Punk.
Punk and Danielson, I don't mind
them
being paid more than him because they're top draws too.
Some of the other guys, it's questionable. I don't know who else is earning more than him, but apparently most of the top guys are earning more than him.
Okay. What I know is Punk, Danielson, Jon Moxley pushing it, Jericho, and
Jericho's earning more than everyone by far.
And he's the first ever AEW World Champion, and he's a big name in the wrestling business, so it kind of makes sense.
And AEW wouldn't be where it is now without him, I don't think, because it gave them somewhere to start in the beginning, like a big name to start with. But that's not the point of this. But I'm just saying. So those guys earning more, I agree with.
So second biggest minute-to-minute draw. What do you think is the first?
Probably Punk. It's probably Punk.
Yeah.
I don't think
it has to be.
It has to be. It has to be.
Because for a while, some people may say Omega, but he's injured. But I wouldn't argue if you had him top 3. MJF is definitely up there for biggest draw. Punk and MJF are the biggest draws in the company, alongside Omega, Moxley, who else? Kingston, all those guys.
But before Double or Nothing, the Dynamite before Double or Nothing, MJF was actually the biggest draw, minute by minute draw. So the go home show before Double or Nothing, MJF was the biggest draw. Punk's minute by minute wasn't as good as MJF's, which is crazy considering Punk's meant to be going for the title before Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that's because whatever MJF does, whatever MJF touches, it turns into gold. Like he said, simple.
I mean, he turned Wardlow, who's, I think, he's not for me, he's not like what AEW fans like out of a wrestler, but he turned him into like one of the biggest faces in the company. You know what I mean? He's not a typical AEW wrestler, but he turned him into like the biggest thing, the biggest face for those few weeks. So MJF is...
Then also another part, he then asked Tony Khan if he would be treated better if he was an ex-WWE guy. Do you think he would be treated better if he was an ex-WWE wrestler?
There's a lot of wrestlers you can ask, and I think they'd say no. Keith Lee,
no.
The Hardys. I think they'd say no, because they haven't been treated necessarily the best. They've been treated all right, but you know, it's not every WWE guy. But I get what he's saying.
Oh boy,
I don't know. What
that
do you
right
think?
there. Oh, you know how most of the time AEW loves taking their shots at WWE, but dear God, and the fact that he mentioned the company's name, that's kind of rare
Yeah,
because
because they normally like just
you would just
insinuate that
you
it's
just hear
WWE.
subtle
Yeah,
shots. You just hear subtle shots being taken, but to mention the company and to say that you're not being treated as well as ex WWE guys, that's definitely something.
and the crazy part about this whole MJF pipe bomb is AEW scene is like this magical place for wrestlers to go to. You know, it's you're gonna get treated well.
Exactly.
You're gonna get everything you deserve there, and he's basically saying the complete opposite.
My biggest problem is the company's being a little bit overflown with the amount of talent coming in that Tony Khan is going to have to make some releases. I mean, we even saw that he had to make some cuts with Marco Stunt, Big Swole, who else? Leo Rush, all those guys that
Joey
came in
Janela, all of them,
early. Joey Janela, all those guys that came in earlier, they are gone now, and they're doing their
but
thing.
their contracts just ended though. Tony looks like he's too scared to release anybody, and he's like, when the contract ends, you can go. It's probably the right thing to do, to be honest. It's
Uh-huh.
probably the right thing to do.
Rather than just getting an email from the company saying, "Hey, listen, sorry, you're fired.
And your stuff
I
delivered to
wish
you in
you
a
the best in
plastic bag.
future endeavors."
And your stuff delivered to
Oh
you in a
my!
trash bag. Oh no.
Oh my God!
Anyway,
Oh no! Don't
anyway,
remind me of what Mickey James went through. Okay, last part is he then proceeded to go. He then proceeded to face the cameraman and demanded that Tony Khan fire him before firing up a string of F bombs. He proceeded to even call him, I mean, he even proceeded to say, "Fire me, you effing Mark. Fire me, fire me, fire me, fire me," before he got his mic cut off. Now, and then what happened after that was the camera fed cut to black. Then during commercial break, Punk went out just to talk some sense into MJF to see what the fuck is going on and all that. But MJF stormed his way through the crowd, through the barricade, and said, "Nope, I ain't dealing with this shit.
the
No,
irony
thank you."
of the irony
Said what
of
I needed
Punk
to
coming
say,
out.
and like I see what they're doing.
They're
The way
building that
Punk
match.
they are building Punk versus MJF 2 for All Out or Full Gear, one of the two pay-per-views. So
And then I think
now,
MJF will win it then though. I don't think well, it depends on whether they came to a deal with his contract. Because I don't think they'll want to put the title on him if he's gonna leave in the end. But anyway. But they're building that
I've
match
said
slowly.
I've said on a couple of occasions, I think MJF is deserving of the AEW World Title,
For
and what
sure.
better way to give it to him now than this year,
For
when he's
sure.
the hottest thing in the company, and he gets many people talking about AEW and the things that he does and the interviews that he does outside of the business too. Face it, MJF is the top guy at the company, whether some people want to admit it or not.
But
That's MJF for you.
do you think as if he wins it and as the champion, do you think he'll have to tone it down a bit? Like he's outside interviews and all of those. Do you think he'll have to tone it down a bit? Because at the end of the day, then
Um,
he's the face of the company now, but when he's a champion, he's like represents the whole company. Do you think he'll be forced to tone it down then?
for outside interviews, most definitely. But in the company, I think he'll
In
be
the company,
uncensored as hell.
he'll stay the same in the
But
company. Yeah,
if he does get the title, I'm sure he is gonna be told, "Hey, listen, you're the champ now. You represent us. You're the face of the company. So we're gonna need you to tone it down once you do your interviews with Fox and all those big companies outside of the business. Just tone it down a bit because you're representing us." So yeah, I'm thinking he's definitely gonna tone it down a bit.
Is
only
that a good thing?
just oh,
I don't think it's a good thing. But what can you
in
do?
my defense, MJF can be a bit of a loose cannon, but if it fits well with this character.
That fits his character.
But
That is his character.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. How if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, what can we do? We're just the fans, or quote unquote, uneducated marks.
So what did you think about him dropping the F-bomb and them not cutting it out? It's because there's a delay, so they clearly have time to cut it out or to censor it quickly or whatever the case is. Because there was enough time.
I know that AEW is more focused on the late teenager adult demographic, so it's pretty common to hear some curse words and maybe a few F-bombs every now and then.
Agreed, but in that context, it's like it's totally different. I feel I don't know why. It just felt different. It felt like I think because it was a pipe bomb, it felt like okay, he shouldn't be doing that. Not like it was. I don't know how to. It just felt very different, and it felt like it was deliberately left in there. Obviously, we know it's a shoot work. This whole promo, but I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Which now begs the question, which we want you guys to answer in the comments below. Do you think MJF versus Tony Khan is a work or a shoot? Let us know. Me personally, I'm in the middle of it. I think they're going to come to a conclusion with the contract and MJF is going to stay because there's no way you can lose possibly the biggest star of our generation to the rival company. You just cannot do that.
Some people say he was willing to let Cody go, so maybe he's willing to let MJF go.
The thing is with Cody, I don't know what to say about Cody in his time with AEW because the fans kind of rejected him because they wanted him to turn heel. I, of course, wanted him to turn heel because with the whole Malachi Black Andrade feud that he was in, it looked so inevitable for him to turn heel, but he kept teasing it, and the fans kind of booed him, which made him get go away heat, and he literally left WWE. So, I mean, he left AEW to sign for the rival company.
Yeah, I think Cody was stuck. Cody reached his ceiling in AEW, so I think there was a place for him to go. Whereas MJF's got a lot he can do still. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, the thing is and my thing is with Cody now, he's done everything that he wanted to do, except chase for the world title because of that stipulation he made on himself.
That's why I say I think he reached his ceiling.
Next up is now CM Punk versus Hiroshi Tanahashi Forbidden Door. What are we saying about that match?
I think they're both the biggest stars in each company. Let's face it, and I think the reason they picked Punk against him is because Punk is a big enough name that the casual fans in Japan would know him. Because the fans in Japan don't really watch anything outside of Japan. We know this. They're not really accustomed to American wrestling. So I think Punk's a big enough name that the casuals will know of him. So I think that's the reason that they've put their top guy against Punk, and AEW put their top guy against Tanahashi.
Mm-hmm. I know this hurts a lot of people's feelings that were kind of expecting CM Punk versus Kenta. Sorry, guys, that match is going to have to wait. The Battle of the GTS is going to have to wait.
I think that match can happen at any other point. I mean, Kenta's been in America before. He's wrestled in America. Obviously, we know that didn't go too well, but he was there. So I think
my thing is Hiroshi Tanahashi versus CM Punk. That is the match that I want to see personally.
And I think that's a once in a lifetime. Whereas Kenta can happen.
Yeah. Yep. And I know what culture even even said that these are some matches that should happen. And CM Punk versus Tanahashi was the match that they even predicted this going to happen. So yeah. So now let's look at the Forbidden Door card right now.
So who do you think Okada is going to face?
Who do I think?
Who do you want? I know who I want.
Wait, Okada.
Okada, yeah. I think
Okada.
I want Okada versus Bryan Danielson. That's what I want.
Here's the thing. I want to save Bryan Danielson for another match, which I want to get into. But Okada, I'm kind of done with Kenny Omega versus Okada because we know they can put on a classic. They don't have anything else to prove to each other anymore.
We've seen
and I think we all know. But Okada, for me personally, it's gonna sound weird, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I want to see Okada versus Hangman Page. That their styles are a little bit weird, but I feel like Okada and Hangman can put on a classic.
The Rainmaker versus the Buckshot.
Okay. I feel like that match,
it could work.
That can set aside a lot.
So what do you think for Bryan Danielson? Because you said you got another match in mind for him.
It's gotta be Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson versus Tomohiro Ishii and Shibata. Oof.
That'll be crazy. They're basically just gonna hit the shit out of each other. Is that what you want?
Tomohiro Ishii and Shibata versus Moxley and Danielson. Two rivals that can coexist, just beating the shit out of each other.
But can they?
Oh.
Well, because New Japan's very proud of their stories. So will they do that? You know what I mean? New Japan, they keep to their stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we'll see that. But it would be a dream match.
Ishii and Shibata are going to have to try and coexist. They're going to have some sort of, you know what, we fucked up each other in the past, so let's just put our beef aside and just take these motherfuckers out. Simple.
Could work. I think it'll be damn good. But I just want...
that match is definitely hard-hitting. And plus, I think it'll build up the Blackpool Combat Club more because I want to see them hold the tag titles end of the year or next year because those guys are definitely hard-hitting.
Do you really want that? I think they're worth more than tag titles.
Mox and Danielson.
Yeah.
Those guys are hard-hitting, so...
I think
they could put the tag team division on notice. They've already done so.
True. I think if Blackpool Combat Club brings someone else in, maybe Yuta and that person can hold the tag division. But then again, you got to give something for Moxley and Danielson to do. So there's only so much they can do without tag titles.
Unless it's Danielson versus Ishii, which I know that is going to be badass. Crazy.
They'll basically just hit the shit out of each other. That's all.
Exactly. They'll just be two bastards just kicking each other to the curb. Now, who else do I want to see go up against each other?
Who do you want to see Ospreay with?
Ospreay.
Yeah.
I'd say Will Ospreay versus a returning Kenny Omega. Or Will Ospreay versus Adam Cole.
I was thinking Will Ospreay, Adam Cole. Have they fought before?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because we all know how Tony Khan is with his dream matches. He loves to make the dream matches possible.
I think that would be good. I was thinking Ospreay with Adam Cole. That's what I was thinking.
Oh. Now, who else can we put? Okay, let's look at the Forbidden Door card, actually, if we're missing anybody. Okay, let me just look at it real quick. Or let's see. And
I'm seeing nothing. I think the only match that's been confirmed is Punk and Tanahashi.
yeah,
Everywhere I'm seeing dream matches and predictions and that. So
mm-hmm. I'd love. You know what match I would want to see right now? It's Pac versus Shingo Takagi. Hmm.
could be good. I don't think
And
they'd
then
give.
Malik.
I don't think they'd give Pac a match on that card in the first place, though.
Probably gonna have him with Death Triangle,
Probably,
and then they go up against what, the United Empire or something,
maybe.
which would be nice.
I'm looking at a article on Bleacher Report, and they predicting, or I don't know if it's predicting, but Kenta versus Sammy Guevara.
Kenta versus Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, but I don't know if it'll work now because they're both heels. Or I don't know what Sammy Guevara is. 1 week is a heel, 1 week is a face. But anyway,
Sammy, in my eyes, is just a tweener to me. He's a mix of
he
a face
shouldn't
and
be.
heel,
He
right?
shouldn't be. He should just be a heel.
I think Sammy works well as the cocky heel that can just snob his way to victory. That's how I like Sammy Guevara, anyways.
Here's another one.
Hey, Sammy Guevara was
Malachi Black versus Minoru Suzuki. That could be good.
oh
That could be good.
oh my oh damn.
That could be really
Now there's oh they even said FTR versus Gorillas of Destiny, God.
Could be good. Anything with FTR is good.
Yep.
Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh my god!
That might be.
That is a match I want to see.
I completely forgot about Zack Sabre Jr. That I changed my mind. That's who I'm wanting Danielson to go against.
Oh,
And it'll be
my
match
goodness.
the night. I'm sure of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, let's see. Oh, they even predicted Punk versus Okada. Goddamn. That would have been nice. That would have been nice.
But I think that you're booking yourself into a corner there. Who's going to
yeah,
win?
because
New Japan's not going to want their champion to lose. AEW's not going to want their champion to lose.
so luckily they did Punk versus Tanahashi because that made more sense.
It makes more sense because champion versus champion is just going to be, it's not going to work. I guess time limit draw, but that'll just make people pissed off. So, and I don't want to see Punk go 60 minutes. It's been the summer of botch for Punk this week already. So,
which reminds me, the summer of Punk or the summer of MJF. We're going into the summer of MJF. Simple as that.
I don't think so. I think we're going to get Punk. I think they're going to push Punk as the biggest name for a while. Then MJF
the same way that Punk made, the same way that AEW pushed Moxley as the champ, they're going to do the same thing with Punk, but even better.
Just because he's Punk. Simple.
Yeah.
The eyes on it will just be...
Plus he can attract a lot of casuals and people that stopped wrestling for a while.
That's the thing. If people see CM Punk's a champion somewhere, they're going to tune in.
That's if and only if they do it right. You don't want a situation where Punk is now botching matches. He's not being shown more. Hey,
did you see
you don't want him to look.
Did you see his hot tag yesterday or last night?
Oh, dear.
That was bad.
Don't remind me of that, please.
He even did you see? He even said I'm sorry.
Not to mention
when he was on the top rope, he even said I'm sorry. I don't know if he said I'm sorry for that or what, but it didn't look good. He looked old. I think it was just a. I don't think it's a thing that we're gonna get used to. I think it was just a random situation where he was botching a few moves. I don't think he's gonna be known for his botches during this run.
Hell no.
I think it's just one
Also-
situation that happened.
Yep. And also, which reminds me, how are we feeling about Thunder Rosa's booking as champ now?
She's so dull. She's so dull.
I love Thunder Rosa, but oh my god, you're treating her so poorly. Even as champ,
She's cringe.
hurts my feelings.
She's cringe.
It hurts my. No, she can't be cringe. She's not.
She's cringe. Her promos are so cringe. That's the problem.
Okay.
I'm struggling to.
Especially with that.
I'm struggling to get a grip with any faces in AEW. I don't know why. They just seem so cringe. Also WWE, but we're talking about AEW now, so all the heels.
The thing is, they've been around for 3 years, and their women's division is still bleak.
It's dead.
In my
It's dead.
Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb tried to put me on, but I'm sorry, I can't.
No, it's
Maybe
dead.
maybe
Kushida.
Jade Cargill can try with me, but I don't know. I don't know with this division.
Her match at Double or Nothing with Anna Jay wasn't that great. Jay Cargill's match. It looked like they weren't like meshing right in the beginning. They got into
the chemistry. The chemistry was low enough, but the match itself wasn't high enough either.
Yeah.
So it's not even Jade's fault. I don't blame Jade.
Yeah.
I think she can be somewhat big enough for the women's division because she's the only undefeated star and she's being treated like a star.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's a question of who is she going to lose to? Is she going to lose to Chris Statlander?
It's possible. It's possible.
I'm not going to lie. I can be hooked on a Chris Statlander push. I'm already hooked.
For sure. The crowd wanted it. The crowd, when she was against Ruby Soho and Rampage, they were upset when Soho won.
And I did say either Ruby Soho or Chris Statlander would win. And in the back of my head, I was actually thinking I should have backed Statlander more. Even though I love Ruby Soho, I think Statlander needed that win the most. And I can't.
I think she deserves.
And I'm not the biggest Britt Baker fan ever, so yeah.
Anyway,
let's continue with the MJ thing. Where were we at?
We actually ended talking about them cutting the cameras and that. What did you think of the announce team not saying anything? Like not acknowledging it?
Oh, the announce team not acknowledging the fact that MJF just dropped one of possibly the greatest promo of this decade and possibly this year. Yeah, that's saying a lot because they didn't think that MJF was going to be that uncensored jack off because they are pretty notorious for hating on MJF every time he comes to the ring and just starts disrespecting people. But
I think it was the right thing to do though, because it's a pipe bomb at the end of the day. They cut the cameras at the end of the day. For them not to acknowledge it, it's probably the right thing to do.
True. But I'm also thinking to myself, oh, this is definitely a shootish work. Definitely. It's kind of a shoot. But it's a work.
I wonder what he was actually allowed to say and what he did say. You know what I'm saying? Because
knowing MJF, he does not need a script.
But was he allowed to say what he said? Is my question. Because obviously they don't send him out of the script, but I'm pretty sure Tony said, "Don't say this, don't say that." You know, don't go this far. Like I'm sure there was a line Tony gave him, and he definitely went over that line.
Mm-hmm. I am definitely on edge seeing that. MJF is going to get suspended for the story-wise. And then he's going to come back.
Think they're going to suspend him?
You drop a pipe bomb, you're getting suspended.
True. I think that would be the right thing.
Punk got suspended for a pipe bomb. And, yeah.
I think it's the right thing to do. suspend him, keep him away for a while, bring him back, go for Punk, bring him back after Forbidden Door, and then start the Punk feud.
Then you start investing into MJF for something to do it all out.
Yeah.
Which I see him. So we all need to know, what's the end game for MJF? Is he going to become world champion, or is he just going to float around and wait till he gets his money?
I think it depends on the contract. If they've agreed on a deal, he'll become champion at some point. If they haven't, I think he's just going to float around. Because they don't want him
and
to
I
be
don't
champ.
want MJF floating around.
They don't want him to be champ and then he goes to WWE. That's just going to not be a good look for them.
But the thing is, not pushing the face of the company, the guy that's keeping many of us invested, not pushing him, that's not good for business either. So
they got to get the deal over the line.
Exactly.
They got to.
But I must say that MJF's pipe bomb has definitely, absolutely kept a lot of us hooked.
It's for sure.
Kept us all on. It put many people on the edge of their seats. It got grown men cheering. It got many kids even cheering. So
it was crazy. And they started out booing him, and then like halfway through the promo, they changed the crowd. And it was just cheers for him afterwards. Even while the announcers were talking about the next match, can't remember what it was, after they cut the cameras, you could hear the crowd with the MJF chants.
Oh, even on social media, they just want that video to be posted right now. Hell, I'm even waiting.
It was crazy.
I'm even waiting. So, let us know in the comments whether you're on Team MJF or Team Tony Khan, or whether you think this is an entire work or shoot. I think
shoot.
as I would put it. So let us know how you guys are feeling about the Forbidden Door, the MJF controversy, as some people would want to put it out. And till next time, we will see you then.
Peace.